the path, you find the reality, and it comes and you grow together, you understand each other deeper. That for me is like, even if the work at the end failed, like that's a success. You really, that is the end game, is to be able to work with people.
Welcome to another episode of Don't Quote Me. I'm really excited to be sitting next to a fellow filmmaker, someone that I got introduced actually in this space. We might have met once before that moment.
I think once before,
maybe
yeah.
once before, but like really I got an introduction to who you are, were, etc. because there was a giant moon, globe, rock installation in this space that we're currently sitting in, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why we're doing the interview here. But I'm just kind of dancing around, and I'm not saying your name, I'm not saying what you do. How are you introducing yourself these days, like as a creative person? And definitely please tell us your name fully too.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. Well, first of all, my name is Seejon, or Seejon for the folks on the way back. I oscillate between both because, to be honest, I do not know how to pronounce my name officially.
I sometimes slip into weird pronunciations of my own name too.
Right?
Because
Yeah.
of how
You probably know too.
Yeah, Caden. Everybody's like, Caden? No, it's
Yeah.
not Caden. It's Caden. Yeah.
And if you're at Starbucks or you're ordering coffee, if I say Seejon, people think Steven. If I say Seejon, then they know exactly. But colloquially, I go by Seejon.
Seejon.
So that's for all the folks in the back. No, how I describe myself? It's a good question because I don't really know anymore. Like, I've always called myself a filmmaker, but I feel like lately I've been interested in doing a lot more art projects that aren't strictly related into film. And I've also been, like, in a weird way, like, really passionately against the title creative. And I don't know. I mean, I do know why. I have a lot of thoughts on it, but like, I feel like it's such a catch-all term. It's very broad, and it fits a lot of different things. And so it's like, how do we, at least for myself, try to niche down? Because I think the impulse is always to go as broad as one can. So I don't know. What do I call myself? A filmmaker, artist?
Yeah, I was gonna say storyteller, filmmaker, artist is how I would have like given like a broad intro.
Yeah.
But now I'm very curious. Why don't you call yourself a creative?
Well, what is a creative? Isn't like a person. Creative is like a product. You make creative, or it's like an adjective. You're a creative writer. You're a creative. I don't know. You're a creative videographer. Creative. Whatever. And for me, it's like a corporate term. And it's like, how do you know how to bill? How can they describe what they're billing at a line item, or billing for creative? And it's like, that's kind of slowly been co-opted into like leading like the way that most artists define themselves. And I think the beauty of being an artist is that you get to define yourself based upon the work that you do, the art, the perspective that you have, what you're bringing to whatever you're creating, free from distillation or free from control. That's like the responsibility of an artist. And if you call yourself a creative, you're kind of like saying, you're letting some of that go. You're turning into, how you'd bill yourself. So I don't know. It goes different ways. Maybe there are actually creatives and there are actually artists, and I think they're different things.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's definitely one of those zones that's a little tricky, because creative is really, I think, coming around because of social media, content in general. A lot of people call themselves like content creators.
Yes.
That's like, I think, a term that is very closely associated with creator economy. These are all like newish terms, but I think a lot of creators in traditional definitions are typically falling into storytellers or artists or writers, but it's kind of a weird term, like you're talking about. It can't encapsulate everything.
Yeah, and I think that, as far as like a trade or a skill or a practice that you're doing, the lineage of the title of what you call yourself is what you compare yourself to as far as what you're carrying forward. It's like if you're someone's son, you're their son. I'm my dad's son. You don't go, I'm my dad's individual, that I'm an individual next to my family. It's like you're bound, your title binds you to something historically. And what are artists historically? It's like there's a great history of, art being a method to bring people together in such a strong way, in such a powerful way. And I don't know what the history of a creative is. It's a new thing.
Ooh, yeah, it is a new thing. Well, I mean, that's part of the joy of it. You can kind of define what it means at this exact moment
Sure.
in time.
Yeah.
Which could be a good thing, but also if some forces at B are just defining it, you could just be getting pigeonholed before you know it.
I know a lot of people that I'm like, you're an artist. They go, I'm not an artist. And I say, why? And they're like, I don't know if I can call myself that yet. I don't know. I don't think I'm there yet.
Really?
And I was like, you're there.
Yeah.
Like, you're there. You can call yourself, if that's what you aspire to, you're there.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. All right, I could definitely keep exploring this subject because this is like one of the like nerd type things that I would just like to keep talking
Semantics.
about. But we're here at Do Not Start. It's a very
Yep.
unique space. Can you tell us how you even got involved with Do Not Start and like this first art installation that you had here? Because you're not from Grand Rapids, are you, or are you?
I went to high school here.
You did go to high school
Yeah.
here, okay.
And then I
But
left to
you
LA,
left.
and now I'm back
Okay,
in a good old G-rap.
yeah.
Wait, what's the question again?
We're sitting in the Do Not Start space, like they're upstairs, but also it's like a shared workspace. But like, how'd you get involved with here? And then like, give us a little backstory of like how Heaviest came to be here.
Yeah.
Because I think that we're trying to give some of the inside behind the scenes like of process, because some people are like,
Yes.
oh, how would I do an art installation? I have no idea. When the reality is like, you, in my opinion, you can just do things, but people
Yeah.
don't understand.
Yeah, you can. I think I identify with that strongly. The idea that you can just do things. It's funny because the title of this place is "Do Not Start." It's almost like a joke. It's like
It's almost like don't quote me.
Yeah, it's like don't quote me. Don't quote me. Do not start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I you know, if we're to start with Heaviest was like the vehicle for me finding out about this space. For everyone who doesn't know, Heaviest is, it's a large scale 9-foot concrete sphere. As an experience and as an installation designed to kind of be seen for one day and then demolished. And this kind of came about as an idea of, we're so inundated with so many things nowadays, like ideas, philosophies, perspectives, some really powerful, some not, but they still fill the same airspace. And everything is trying to tell you, like, this is the heaviest. This is the heaviest. Pay attention here. This is the heaviest. And like, you start to kind of like lose yourself in a way. You start to live in this kind of like simulated, overstimulated world, and you're not stimulated, but simulated world inside your own mind that urges you to inaction and urges you to this spot of I don't know, to be sidelined. And so for me and my co-artist Isabella, Heaviest kind of formed of that conversation of like, how do you create something physical designed for interaction that people can come and, in a way, it's a little absurd. You don't really know what it is. It's not impressing you upon in any specific way with any specific meaning or message. The meaning or the message is just to be there. And so, for us, it was, as far as like getting linked up with this space, it was very intentional to like, we don't want to put this in like a gallery, like a white box gallery. We don't want to put this behind something that would inhibit accessibility, or also like come with its own definition of grandeur. When you put something in this white wall gallery, it's almost telling you before you even see it, this is important. Pay attention. Look at this art. This is art. It's so great. You can only see it this way. And it's like, no, this isn't important. This is just a big sphere, and it's kind of stupid. And that's okay. Like the beauty is the people that are there, not the art itself. And so we connected with this space. We're like, we have no idea how we're going to do this. We have no idea where we're going to do it. And Haley, who runs Hammerspace Gallery, who facilitated the event as a pop-up, connected us here. And she was like, this space here, Do Not Start, is literally designed for this. It's designed to encourage and collaborate artists together to like do the things that they feel like they can't do, or do the things they feel like they don't know how to do, and kind of be an open space for those ideas.
That's awesome. So it was kind of a little bit of snowball effect. You're tied to one space, but also Hammer space, but also Isabel, and you kind of all kind of grouping together. Can you talk a little bit more about Heaviest as an experience and less as a product? Because I think you nailed it when you talked about it being in a gallery space. Like that would have changed the dynamic of the experience inherently. Like when you're in an art gallery, you don't feel like you can touch art, or you can. You gotta put your hands behind your back and like assume the position of like, I'm observing art. Where you guys designed this much more as an experience in person. That was a lot different than things that it reminded me of Grand Rapids in 2009.
Okay.
In a really good way, where
Okay.
people
I'm very
were
curious about
used
this.
to do things just for the sake of doing them.
Yeah.
Because this was it's a random building off of
Yep.
Godfrey. Godfrey
Yep.
has a long history of weird art installations,
Yeah.
like before Art Prize, even
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. So, and then when I walked in here, I was like, oh my God, there's music, there's intentional design, there's wine. And people are like walking up and touching the art and being like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
this? Which is like, in my opinion, I was like, this is the point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but to full circle, to go to the actual question, can you talk more about the experience instead of a product? Because I think
Yes.
that is like an encapsulation of what you were trying to do.
Yeah. Um, I think I think very often we're very destination mindset of like where we're, what is the endpoint that we're trying to get to, and how do we define that and get there as quickly as possible? I don't know. Maybe that's like because we live in a fast-paced work world. My approach to art is as like a conversation. I think that all works of art is a dialogue between the piece and the viewer. The viewer finishes the piece, and when you have like a product that is already defined on its own, it already is what it is, and it doesn't really need you to be there for it to be what it is. Then I think it's you lose that dialogue. It's literally like sitting across and having a conversation here. It's like if I'm just talking or you're just talking and there's no interaction, then you don't have the dialogue. And I think that that's kind of the purpose of art, at least for myself, is to somehow facilitate those types of ideas. When you put work in like a white space gallery and it tells you or impresses upon you as a viewer to act a specific way, you're not able to dialogue. It's already telling you something, and it's not, you're not feeding back into it. It's already, it's already been said. It's already been discussed. There's a placard that tells you what to think and how to feel about it. And you lose that type of connection. When you get to come to something like this, you see a big sphere in the middle of a room, and you can touch it, you can kick it, you can push it over, you can think it's stupid, you can think it's awesome, you can do, you bring your full self to it. I think that there's a lot of opportunity there as far as like for people, especially people that don't really have a lot of interaction with arts, to kind of discover something in a really new way. Yeah. I think I answered your question.
Yeah, no, you
Experiences,
definitely, you definitely answered the question. And the cool thing was for me too to see all the old art heads that came in from like
Yeah.
All Artworks and like a whole bunch of other spots
Yeah.
that were just coming through and being like, oh, wow, it's happening. So I can't wait to see what you do next in that category.
Yeah.
One of the things that I did notice about it you did have a community that was surrounding you a bit.
Yeah.
And I do want to ask a question like, what does community mean within an artistic experience like the heaviest? Because you couldn't have built that you could have built it by yourself,
Yeah.
but it would take you a lot longer.
I don't know if I could have built it by myself.
Exactly, yeah. So
No, I can't. I mean, I'm a filmmaker. Okay, see, and I'm labeling myself. Film is very collaborative. You can't make a film or anything by yourself. You need actors, you need camera, you need lighting, you need music, you need post, you need whatever. And that's always been my approach to work. It's I feel like I'm a relatively extroverted person. I always make the joke that I do film as an excuse to talk to people, which is kind of true. But a lot of artists, a lot of art, drawing, writing, painting, it's a solitary thing, and that's fine. That's not at least my avenue. And for me, I find so much beauty in the community aspect of creating something. When you have a team and when you have a lot of people together and you're not really sure what you're doing, you're not really sure what you're making, you have an idea, and together you kind of find the path, you find the reality, and it comes and you grow together, you understand each other deeper. That for me is like, even if the work at the end failed, like that's a success. You really, that is the end game, is to be able to work with people. So not only just the community that was there, but the community that came out. It's, that's what we're as people. We're communal beings. Maybe some artists are really precious. Like they want something to be purely their own authorship and say, I made that, I'm the author of it, this is what I want. And I think that's probably good for some people. That's not my approach. My approach is very much uh, I don't know what we're doing, and we're gonna come together and we're gonna figure it out. And I'm gonna learn from everybody here, and hopefully they learn something from me, or hopefully we learn nothing at all and just drink a bunch of wine and hang out, and then something gets made out of it. I think that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Awesome. Okay. I want to pivot to the filmmaking side of your story.
Yes.
Because right now you've been focused on creating a debut feature film
Debut.
outside of the traditional studio system.
Yes.
So what made you to decide to build it yourself rather than wait for the quote unquote right opportunity?
Stupidity. I don't think there is a right time for anything. I think that if you're listening to the work, or you're listening to your instincts, and following up on it, you just start creating. And I think that,
I love that so much.
yeah. And so often people tell you, you can't do it yet, or you got to wait, or you need this first. It's kind of like, it's like not knowing what job you want to do and only doing a job based upon what's posted online for job availabilities. It's like deep down you have something and you go, I want to be an archaeologist. I want to be a doctor. I want to be whatever it is. And, there's this really great, one of my friends, he did this documentary. He interviewed Guillermo del Toro in the documentary. It's called Bad Hombre Wood. And there's a great line that he said. He asked him at the end, like, about filmmaking and like what he would say to like a younger person trying to get into it. And he said, don't focus on like everybody else's path. He's like, whatever path that you build, whatever bridges you construct to get there, they disappear behind you. And you're not going to be able to try to follow someone else's bridge. You need to figure out how to make your own and trust and believe in kind of that path. And so for me, it was like, we knew we had this film. I knew I wanted to make it in Grand Rapids.
Mm-hmm.
It's a certain type of film that would be hard to get funding for, in the sense of without needing to change a lot of things in the script. We wanted to remain authentic to that. And so it was like, all right, well, let's just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's gather funding. Let's figure it out. Let's take commercials money and, funnel that into, funnel those profits into making a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's just go to Grand Rapids, just be honest with everyone that we talk to and be like, we don't have a lot of money. We don't know what we're doing. Let's figure it out together. And if you want to work on it, let's do it. And I've always been fortunate and grateful enough to be in situations where I've at least been proven to me that like vulnerability as an artist, as a filmmaker, and honesty is so much more powerful when it comes to collaborating, getting people excited to work with you than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people that try to pomp and circumstance, and I don't think it works out very well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we just knew it was time. And we only have so many years in our life. Get creating early.
Yeah. Well, I think you touched on a piece of what I wanted to ask you next, which is there's a lot of common ideas out there that artists need permission to start something, or funding, or a validation, or someone to like open the door in order to start something.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about your perspective of why you feel like you don't need permission?
People who tell you need permission is bullshit. Can I swear?
Oh yeah.
It is. It's nonsense. You don't need permission to do anything. They should have permission to tell you that you need permission. I can't think. Everybody that I know, and I feel like I was in LA for about 12 years doing commercial work. Everybody I know that's waiting for permission, they're still waiting for permission. Everybody I know that just did it, now we're on to their next thing. And I think that so often, we as people, we grow up in a community, we're docile, and we want permission. We want someone else to take the risk and then tell us, okay, you can create now and don't create yet. And once you do this, this will happen then. And is there something comforting about that sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're getting into creating art or creating films, you're endeavoring to be uncomfortable in your work. And it's like the risk of that and taking that on is the work itself.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it's not that much risk. Like, what's the worst that can happen? You try to make something and it fails. Okay.
Right.
Like, you're still here. You still have people. You're still alive. It's like, it's pretty low stakes risk. So do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just do it. It's really hard to really say what it is other than just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of humans are uncomfortable exploring embarrassment and the
Yes.
idea of supposed failure without
Yep.
realizing like that's actually the space that you're going to grow the most, especially
Yeah.
if you're trying to make things.
Yeah. You don't succeed upwards, you fail upwards.
Right.
At least I hope so, because I make a lot of failures.
Yeah. Well, they teach you things
They
as you
do.
go.
Yeah. I also do think that specifically for like filmmakers, people think they need X amount of money to make something, and you do, and you also don't. A lot of times you just need to change what you're trying to make. If you're writing some like grand sci-fi opera and you need, $10 million to make it work, so you go pitch it for 5 years and get nothing. Um, and then it's like, well, why can't I make something? Why can't blah, blah, blah? Be realistic. No one knows who you are. You have no track record. You've never made anything. Maybe a $10 million movie isn't your first thing.
Right.
Maybe make something a little smaller. Maybe prove yourself out. You're an entrepreneur, so you got to prove your track record. People trust you more than they trust your ideas. So they have to actually trust that you can follow through. And so I think, for a lot of people, that I would talk to, or I'd say is like, if you're not gaining traction and the ability to make what you're trying to make, scale it down to something that you can actually do on your own, instead of wait around for, some safety net that's not coming.
It's really great advice. You should definitely follow that advice. If you're listening to this, it's very good advice, especially if you have, whether it's a business, an art career, a filmmaker, like that's the truth of it from my perspective as well. Okay. I want to ask a more personal question, and this is around Tourette's, because you've talked about this a little bit and how your own personal life experience with Tourette's and how that affects your work. And I'm assuming it affects, especially if you're directing a commercial or something like that, you probably have to give some warnings sometimes, or like, hey guys, like this is a reality of my life.
Yep.
But how has it informed your journey, especially as I'm going to call you an artist for this moment, since we get to kind of bounce around with the terms.
Yeah. Artist, filmmaker, Seejon, unlabeled forever. It's an anxiety. I would say that it's for anyone with a disability or in any regards, as an artist in a regular traditional workspace, it's always something that no matter how accepting or how many accommodations people try to make or have made, it's always something that's challenging. And I think that some of the greatest work that anyone has ever done always comes out of personal challenges. It always comes out of personal discoveries or copings or whatever it is. And for me, Tourette's has been such an impactful part of my creative journey. I don't think I would have the same creative journey without it. It's so often like a lot of disabilities it can often be relatively invisible. Like I'm able to like hold them in and like cover them up in like certain contexts. And I think a lot of people wouldn't realize that I have Tourette's. But my experiences with Tourette's, at least, is it's a very painful ailment that never stops being painful. When you're at home in bed, when you're waking up in the morning, every single day, every single minute, every single second, it is uncomfortable and painful. And so for me, the way that filters into creative work is you yearn to bring like those authentic experiences into your work and into something that hopefully you can communicate ideas or feelings that someone else dealing with the same thing can connect to. I have had moments on set where I've had to warn people like, hey, this is what's going on. Before I shot the movie, I told everyone, I had a big meeting and let everybody know. And then, you endeavor to create work, at least for me, that answers to some of those questions of like, I'm going through something. Does it mean something? Maybe it doesn't mean something. Maybe it strengthens you. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just a part of your identity. Maybe it isn't. But how do you surface through and push through where, at least for me, because of this, like I have to create. It's therapy in a way. I feel like I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the ability to create. And I think a lot of people dealing with similar things have a similar perspective. And so I used to not talk about it for a long time. Yeah, because I used to be like, I used to have this perspective of, strength is found in how you push forward without letting something visibly or like ail you or like visibly like be on the forefront. And as I mature and get older, I realize that's absolutely not the case.
Like you're finding strength in the vulnerability.
Yeah, very much so. So I don't know if that answers your question.
That
but
definitely answers your question. I would love to explore especially like this is twofold. One from like a leadership side, especially on set when you're filmmaking.
Yeah.
And this is like actively kind of always under the surface.
Yeah.
But then also from your perspective, how are you alchemizing that kind of lived experience of your own quote unquote disability?
Yep.
And how that translates into your work. So leadership perspective and alchemy.
Leadership wise, I mean, for me, I learned very strongly that whatever someone appears or presents as is never the whole story of what someone's going through. And I think that that's really big. You know, not to define other people's experiences, and also to like create this space where people feel comfortable enough to bring that into the workplace in a way that they feel is appropriate. And for me, when it comes to leadership, I'm really passionate about, at least in creatively, a very like horizontal approach to creative leadership and organization. You know, with of course, you know, the right direction. But you know, I think I learned very strongly that if you can't bring your whole self into creative work, you can't create work. You can appear to create work, and you can create the container of things or the appearance of things, but if you're not bringing your whole self to it, it's dead in the water. And so for me, I'm really passionate about, you know, creating the space where people can fail, where it's okay to fail, and then quickly recover. And that, you know, we can get into the weeds on like how to actually do that. But you know, I think that that's like one of the most important things when you're endeavoring in creative work collaboratively. Do not judge failure. Don't judge your own failures. Because when you do, and people hear that, you think you're being humble, be like, oh, I made a mistake, guys, blah, blah, blah. You're not, because people are understanding like, okay, well, if you judge yourself that hard, that's creating a subtle communication of how much other people feel they'll be judged if they fail too. And so, you know, it's you got to be sanguine of your failures, or of the situation. I think that is something that is easier said than done.
Yeah.
Alchemy. How do I bring it into my storytelling?
Yeah. Well, especially when it comes to translating your experience with this.
Yeah. Catharsis. I think we're all yearning for catharsis. At least I am. I wouldn't be able to do work if it weren't for Tourette's and needing to like somehow, there's so much like, you know, physically, psychologically, so much angst, and so much frustration, and so much, you know, you could say like darkness, depression, dealing with this type of thing. And then when you create work, when you create metaphorically a melody of something, you reach some sort of like, at least some sort of hope, some sort of catharsis in what you're doing, some sort of belief, that it's even hard to put into words, but you start to see the poetry of life around you in a different way than you do when you're stuck inside your own mind. And so when I'm writing, the characters that I write, the people the characters and like the stories that I construct are always about some sort of reckoning with one's own internal, you know, journey, and their own internal struggles and battle. Yeah.
I have about a zillion follow-ups to that, but the reality is like you and I could probably just need to sit down for coffee too. But I think so the reality is like this is I love that, and I do think art in its best forms are translating experiences that other people can also then feel themselves. To oversimplify it like crazy.
We've all felt like saved by an album. You know what I mean?
100%.
Or a piece of artwork. You feel it, and like somehow it like got you through. Like you started like, you know, this album got me through my sophomore year of high school. It's like it's always that, and it's like it's trite, but it's true. It couldn't be more true.
And I think that's the beauty of it. And I think the more that happens for people in the world, the better it gets for everybody.
100%.
Okay. All right. I do want to talk about risk though, because some of the stuff that people could easily look at some of your work and be like, why the hell is he even trying this? Or why is that even like a thing?
Yeah.
So could you talk about the risk, the role of risk in your creative process?
Yeah. I'm like a procrastinator, all the time. And I've learned that the only way to not procrastinate is to set a deadline and a goal and then tell everybody about it. And now I'm like socially like forced to actually follow through. Otherwise I won't.
Yeah.
And that's so that's risk. It's like inherent risk. I think the best creative work, or honestly any sort of self-starting entrepreneurial work, comes from risk. Risk is like an inevitability. And it's scary. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you become with it. And the less control you hold on to risk, the more you can navigate it with harmony, and not break it. You know, you can be so passionate with something, you can grab on something so hard that you break it. And so for me, risk is huge. Like I don't know how to create without risk, to be honest. Like not even like, that's not even a joke. Like if there's something where if I'm working on something and it's very comfortable, like my mind just goes blank. There's like a certain like level of like risk or challenge or fear that like gets you going. And like, that's all of life. If you lay in bed too long, you get bed sores. Like everything that you do, you need to push yourself out of whatever comfort zone that you're in, to go and hunter-gatherer, to go to the grocery store, to go to school, to take your kid to, soccer. There's risk in everything that you do. And it should ever be present in your work. There's a big risk. When we made this sphere, I had no idea if it was going to happen. We set the deadline, we set the opening, we got all the stuff to run the event before we even knew how to do it. A week away from the event, we still had nothing. We were here constructing for like 3 weeks, and it was a bunch of failures. We had nothing. We still had barely wire mesh, barely a sphere. Up until like 3 days before, there was no mud, there was no concrete, there was nothing. And so we started pulling, 16-hour days. We were leaving here at like 5 a.m. in the morning, to go home and like sleep for 2 hours and then come right back and keep going, because it was terrifying.
Yeah.
It was absolutely terrifying. I was like, we're going to open this gallery and everyone's going to come and they're going to see this. They're going to laugh at us. And my career is going to be over as an artist. And, but you know what? If there wasn't that fear, if there wasn't that risk, I don't think we would have had the confidence or the impetus to make something of that scale. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I think there is a trick and a truth around setting a deadline for something that does not exist yet. Especially for spicy brain people.
Yeah.
I have actually given that specific advice to people before.
Yeah.
Because I've done that in my own creative
very
career,
good advice.
Where like I've set a party for something that did not exist yet.
Yeah.
Like I wrote a memoir and we planned the party for the book release before I had written a page.
That's awesome.
So and then that forced everything else into reality very quickly, because you need time to print too.
Yeah.
So that's very good creative advice.
Yes.
Especially if you're trying to make something new for yourself. Plan the end part first.
Yeah.
Because then you have something to like look forward to and start inviting people to it. Because that really dials the risk factor
accountability.
Up. Yeah.
Of that is very important.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I do want to, so what excites you most about where your work is headed next? And maybe can you give a little preview about what you're working on? Obviously there's the film that's coming out, but you also, I've seen some things on your Instagram recently. It sounds like you might be working on a next install of some kind, but like, what excites you most right now about what you're making?
What excites me most right now about what I am working on is that I have no idea what I'm working on next. That's really, obviously I'm working on another film. I'm working on the next film.
Okay.
It's called Poetry, Colors, and Forms. It's a road movie.
Oh, so that's what I saw. Okay.
That's what you saw.
That's what I saw. Okay.
Yep, it's a road film. And we've been submitting to labs and like trying to get that presented, and it's gonna be a much bigger budget than the first film, so it's like prepping that the right way. But we are working on like another sculptural art piece for our art prize.
Very cool.
We'll see if it actually takes off or if it comes together the way that we're hoping. It's pushing us in a different way. I wish I could share about it, but I won't. It's an inversion of what
Little
you think.
seeds. Little seeds is great.
Little seeds. It involves the automobile.
Ooh.
And then we'll figure it out from there. But no, I mean, I think for me, it's I'm really excited right now for myself, and this journey is figuring out how to refine down like an artistic or creative practice around instinct and around gut. I know that sounds esoteric.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. I've been very methodical in my career for a long time, especially in like commercial work. This. And I think right now I'm in this point where I'm like, okay, that's great and all, but how can you kind of be a little more organic in how you respond to what's going on inside of you and pick your projects that way. So that's something that I'm really excited about.
Yeah. So what excites you most, if I were going to summarize, is learning how to follow your gut instincts better.
Yes.
Sweet.
You can lose your gut instincts if you don't listen to them for long enough.
Oh, it's very true.
It's like a muscle.
You can kind of see it in some creatives.
Some creatives
that are just making, but they don't know what they're making anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right. We're going to transition into the soapbox moment.
Sweet.
If you had a piece of advice for an aspiring artist, what would it be? Think about what would have inspired your younger self.
I've got two pieces of advice that I would give to like a younger filmmaker, younger artist. The first one is don't listen to what other people tell you you should or should not do. Take it in, learn from it, get a critical mass of it, but don't feel that you need to fulfill exactly what anyone else says. There are many, many, many different paths to get to where you want to get. And failure, trying them, succeeding, then not succeeding, then redoing it that is like the end goal, and that is like the process of it. And if you spend too much time chasing other people's methods or listening to what other people are saying specifically about what you should and should not do, often you find yourself trading whatever beauty you had as a creative, whatever beauty you had as an artist, to say like, this is what I want to be, this is what I want to talk about. That is like your greatest gift. That's like your greatest strength. And you can very easily get spun out of whack, going many different places, many different paths that other people are trying to push you to. And so often people push you towards paths because it's the path they either thought they should have gone on, or it's the path that they did go on and it worked for them, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work again. As an artist, your intuition is like your most important thing. It's like your best friend, and you need to feed it. You need to nurture it. And if you start to give it away, or you start to hide it away, it's like the picture Dorian Gray. It's surrounded by books. You put your intuition in the attic, and it will get old. You'll be out there, schmoozing with whatever, looking like you are successful or whatever not. But your intuition is gone, and it can fade. And if you want to be an artist and you want to be a filmmaker, abandon any idea that you want to be successful. Because if you want to be successful, go do finance, go do business, go do something else. It's a really hard, it's a very difficult field. So don't focus on whatever preconceived notion you have of success. Listen to your gut and listen to your instinct and move on that. And the second thing that I would say is take yourself very, 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 very seriously, with candor. And with silliness, but be very serious about the work that you do. I think a lot of people hide under nonchalance as some sort of like safety net or like blanket to be like, oh yeah, whatever, this is my little film, this is my little whatever, ha ha. If you don't believe in what you're doing first, no one else is going to believe in it. And so you can be silly, you can be goofy, you can have fun, you can play, but be serious about the work that you do and be passionate about it. You need to have enough passion for your own cup, and to fill other people's cups. And don't get mad if people don't care as much as you do. Don't get upset if your, collaborators flake on you. It's natural, it's not their project. But take it very seriously. Push yourself very, very hard, but give yourself a lot of grace along it too. Those are my 2 words of advice.
Seejon, I really want to just pause before we wrap up this episode and say thank you for your time. Thank you for really good advice. I think people that are in the creative space need to understand like the you don't need permission part is huge.
Big.
And I think it's something that a lot of people are waiting for almost every day, and they are listening to shows like this or doing things like this and not realizing that they're still waiting on permission, even if they're watching this and not making a thing. So thank you. And I really appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule. Can't wait for the films that are coming. Can't wait for all the projects you got going on. Can't wait to hear what this car is about for Art Prize. That sounds interesting. And also thanks for making a new art installation here in GR. Grand Rapids needs these kinds of projects. So thanks, man.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm always inspired and impressed upon by like the approach that you and your team take when it comes to community, when it comes to, supporting voices and ideas and perspectives that maybe don't always have like the light of day to have the space to surface. And so that's hugely inspiring to me, honestly. Like when I discovered you guys and learned about everything that you guys do and the stuff you're pushing, it's astounding, and something that I think not only just Grand Rapids, but like every city needs that kind of passion to tell stories and to give people these platforms. So couldn't be more grateful.
Cool. Well, I appreciate that you're contributing your voice to that mix. It's really important. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
It is hotter over here. Holy cow.